Hey friends and fam, it's John and it's time for the JMART CAST for Monday, June 5th. What's going on? How are you? Posting a little bit late today or this week. Sorry about that. Last weekend on Saturday, there was a music festival happening, the Boiler Room at Woodbine Park in Toronto. My wife and I and some friends went and had a good time. The shows were great. The weather was wonderful. It was during the daytime from 3 till 10. And an artist named Bonobo that I really love was the closer for the day, which was an amazing set. And then Sunday was just a bit of a recovery day, and I got the kids as well, so didn't really have time to record. So today it is. So what did I want to talk about? So last week I didn't have a JMART CAST episode to release. Instead, I released a new episode of the State of Health podcast, which is my health-specific podcast. And on the most recent episode I released, it was an interview with someone who I met online who has Crohn's disease. This person is in their mid-20s and was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when he was 12 years old. He's dealt with it for many, many years, and most recently in the last 6 months, he's changed his diet to a carnivore diet and his symptoms have gone into remission during that time period. So it was just an interesting conversation talking about his history with the disease, also about his history with trying a vegan diet to resolve his issues, and then finally going into the carnivore diet and what that's been like. So check that out if you haven't. The other health-related thing that I wanted to discuss was this interaction I had with this guy named Dr. Spencer Nadolsky online. So he had this tweet where he talks about how he had a patient who he put their type 2 diabetes into remission by getting this patient to switch from regular soda to diet soda. And then he was complaining that he was successful at doing this with a patient only to have other people tell the patient to not do that due to the potential microbiome changes that the sweetener in the diet soda might cause the person. So I sympathize with this Dr. Spencer Nadolsky guy that it would suck to have a patient, have a successful outcome with your advice only to have other people second guess the patient's decision. But in this case, what he's talking about is kind of ridiculous. I have never seen or heard of anyone putting their type 2 diabetes in remission simply by switching from drinking regular soda to diet soda. So I was like, I've seen this guy post before, and he tends to kind of post kind of ridiculous claims, and so that's kind of what I called him out on it. I was like, this guy's a well-known liar and a troll. I don't believe he's helped anyone with type 2 diabetes go into remission with this advice. So that's what I said. And then he responded, of course, he's like, a well-known liar, eh? I would love to know one thing that I've lied about, just one. Sure. So I respond, could you please put me in touch with one of your patients who put their type 2 diabetes in remission by switching to diet soda from regular soda? By the way, anyone listening to this, if you know anybody in your life or a friend of a friend, anyone who has done this, if anyone knows somebody who had type 2 diabetes but then decided to drink only diet soda and then put their diabetes into remission, I would love to speak to them. Please put me in contact with them. This guy, Dr. Nadolsky, responds back, okay, random internet person with a fake profile picture, I'll get right on that. So clearly doesn't think I'm a real person. So I responded, it's like, of course I'm real. Just like, you literally just have to look at my profile for a second. You'll see that I'm real. The only not real thing in this interaction is the fact that you claim to have put anyone in remission by getting them to switch to diet soda. That's just like not a thing that happens. And then he goes into like, I'm not putting you in touch with one of my patients. I know you have no understanding of how practicing medicine works, but that would be a big no-no. I actually do know about patient doctor confidentiality. I just thought that if you've helped so many people put their type 2 diabetes in remission, then maybe there'd be at least one patient willing to come out publicly and and just share their experience about how they successfully managed this, because he goes on to like say, if you don't think this is possible, it means you have no understanding of the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes and have never worked with anyone who improved their lifestyle and improved their glycemia. First of all, like changing from regular soda to diet soda is not a lifestyle change. Okay. That's the same lifestyle. It's the exact same freaking lifestyle. You're literally not doing anything different. Okay, the real lifestyle change is to like actually stop eating that garbage. And actually, I do think it's possible for somebody to do that but like it's such a bad way of going about things. Like it's like saying dig a giant hole with a spoon. Like it's possible to do it, but that's the wrong tool for doing that job. Just like it's the wrong tool to put someone into remission for their diabetes by getting them to drink diet soda. Like, come on. There's so many people who have successful stories about putting their type 2 diabetes into remission by doing low carb, by doing keto, by doing carnivore. And they're out and about in public, sharing their story, talking about exactly what they did, helping others do the same thing. Show me one person who's done exactly what this guy's claiming. There's not one. No one has put their type 2 diabetes into remission by switching to diet soda. That's just a stupid claim. I'm sorry. And so, anyway, that's exactly what I told him. And then I was like, if not one of your, patients, there's got to be someone out there public that you know of that you could put me in touch with. And then he put me in touch with a couple of people who had commented under his post, who were definitely bots, who when I look at their profiles, they had private accounts where you can't see what they're posting. And when I replied to their comments or direct messaged them, they never replied back to me. One person actually was a real person, and I did speak to them. This is what I asked. I said, "Hello, I'm just following up on your comment about losing 20 pounds by switching to diet soda from regular. I'm a personal trainer and weight loss is really interesting to me. Could you confirm that the switch to diet was the main change that led to 20-pound weight loss? And also, did you have diabetes and did it go into remission by making this switch?" And then the person responded and said, "Yes, I did lose 20 pounds by making that little switch. It obviously didn't happen in a week. I think it was 4 to 6 months, the time frame. And it was while I was in my early 20s. I wasn't diabetic, just morbidly obese at the time." Boom. So again, another person who did not put their diabetes into remission by making the switch. They did lose a ton of weight, but they were not diabetic yet. And it took them 6 months. Now, when I was looking at this person's profile, they had made a huge transformation in their body, and they were like a Zumba instructor at this point. So I was like, would you be interested in doing a conversation with me for a podcast? And we can talk about your body transformation and the things that you've done. And the interesting thing was this person said, I don't know how interesting or helpful my story will be. I struggle telling it to people because so much of my weight loss was a result of life changes and mental, emotional changes. My eating habits changed as a result of those two things, not necessarily focused effort on weight loss itself. So that was really interesting. I was like, no way. Okay, so you actually worked on fixing your life and your mental health, and then the weight loss fell into place as a result of those two things. So it's like the weight gain was a result of not having your life straight, not having things figured out. And then by coming to the root cause of figuring your life out, fixing your mental health, then the weight readjusted back to normal. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought that would have made for a really good podcast conversation, but she was not interested in doing it. But there you go. Something to think about. Sometimes worrying about weight so much is a waste of time, really, because there's more important things, right? The root cause is something else. So if you're just treating symptoms and not treating the root cause, then you're not really helping yourself get better. All right, that's all the physical health advice for this week. Let's do a quick Bitcoin update. We are on block height 793,050. Price of one Bitcoin is trading at $25,765 US. $1 will buy you 3,881 sats or satoshis. One Bitcoin can subdivide 100 million times into 100 million satoshis or sats. By the way, if you want to listen to the podcast and support it with some Bitcoin, you can use podcasting 2.0 apps such as Fountain, Podverse, or Breeze. And as you're listening, you can send a little tiny bit of Bitcoin per minute listened to me as a way of thanking me for the podcast. There's also a way of just sending one lump sum as a boost for the podcast as well. It's up to you how do you do it. So speaking of Bitcoin, I was getting a haircut earlier this week, actually on Saturday morning right before going to the Boiler Room Music Festival. And my barber, I went to a new guy this week, and he seemed like a really cool guy. He was, we were just talking, shooting the shit, and Bitcoin, the conversation led to Bitcoin. And I was just kind of talking to him a little bit about it. Just my way of introducing it was through the what is money question. We talked about that a little bit. And then he eventually, at the end of the haircut, he accepted Bitcoin as his tip. So I was pretty jazzed about having talked to him about that and then convincing him to accept a tip in Bitcoin. So a successful orange pilling there. By the way, if anyone listening has any questions about Bitcoin, how to self-custody it, how to use it, how to spend it, how to use the Lightning Network, anything related to Bitcoin, please reach out and ask me. I'm available through email. Send an email to jmartfit@substack.com or reach out through social media at jmartfit on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to end it short today because I just want to go to bed. It's already late. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you. I'll have a longer, more in-depth episode next week. Until then, have a great week. Stay active. Be grateful. J-Mart out.